The quiet click of the bedroom door closing behind Daniel still echoes in my memory, even now. My heart was pounding against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the heavy silence of the room. Every nerve in my body felt wired, buzzing with a strange mix of anticipation and dread. I had initiated this conversation, laid my cards on the table, and now there was no turning back. "This is what you wanted," he murmured, his breath warm against my ear, sending a shiver down my spine. Another presence lingered nearby, just outside our bedroom, waiting, watching. My husband Daniel had made the arrangements, and tonight I was about to step into a reality I had only dared to imagine in the deepest corners of my mind. His body pressed against mine, a familiar weight I had known for decades. His breath, still warm, traced a path along my skin. His hands moved over me with that practiced touch, the one that used to ignite a fire within me. I closed my eyes, trying to lose myself in the sensation, to recapture that rush, that urgency, that spark we once shared. But it wasn't there. Everything felt the same, too familiar, too predictable. I could almost choreograph the next few moments in my head, the rhythm, the pace, safe, reliable, but utterly devoid of the yearning that had begun to gnaw at me. I squeezed my eyes tighter, willing myself to sink into the moment, to feel the way I was supposed to feel. But no matter how hard I tried to focus, a quiet, undeniable truth kept creeping into my thoughts. I wanted more. I needed more. A strange pressure built inside me, tight and restless. Not excitement, but something else, something deeper that I had been ignoring for far too long. I shifted beneath him, my breath coming in uneven gasps, searching for something I couldn't quite name. But no matter what I did, that empty feeling only grew, a hollow ache in the pit of my stomach. I couldn't pretend anymore. I slowed my movements, then stopped altogether. Daniel hesitated, his brow furrowing slightly. "What's wrong?" His voice was quiet, laced with concern. My pulse roared in my ears. I had spent months pushing this feeling away, telling myself it wasn't real, that I could ignore it. But I couldn't anymore. I took a shaky breath, my voice barely above a whisper. "I love you, Daniel, but I need something. Something more." My throat tightened, the words catching in my chest. "Something different." His eyes locked onto mine, unblinking. The air between us felt thick, suffocating. I swallowed hard, my chest rising and falling unevenly. At first, I thought he hadn't heard me, but then I saw it, the flicker of something dark in his expression, his jaw tightening, his lips pressing into a firm line. "You need more," he said finally, his voice quieter than I had expected. I nodded, my fingers twisting in the soft cotton sheets. "Yes." His lips parted slightly, as if he wanted to speak, but he didn't. Instead, he just stared at me, his expression unreadable. My stomach twisted. I had braced myself for anger, accusations, maybe even heartbreak. But he wasn't doing any of that. He was just thinking. And somehow, that felt worse. Seconds stretched into a full minute. My skin burned under his intense gaze. Finally, he exhaled slowly, rubbing his jaw. "More." He let the word linger in the air as if testing its weight. "And by that you mean something different." I swallowed again, my throat dry. "Yes." His head tilted slightly, studying me in a way that made my skin prickle. I had no idea what was going through his mind, but I knew this wasn't the reaction I had prepared myself for. "How long?" he asked, his voice surprisingly steady. The question caught me off guard. I don't know." His brows lifted slightly, but there was no shock in his eyes. If anything, it felt like he had been waiting for this moment, like some part of him had always known. I braced myself, convinced that this was when the argument would erupt, the pushback, the pain, the fallout, but instead, he just sighed. "Okay," I blinked, taken aback. "Okay?" His gaze didn't waver. "Yeah, okay." Something about the way he said it made my chest tighten. It wasn't defeated. It wasn't heartbroken. It was calm, controlled. A nervous energy curled in my stomach. "So, you understand?" I exhaled slowly, my lips twitching at the corners. "I do." He stared at me, and I waited for more, waiting for the explosion that never came. But instead of falling apart, instead of reacting the way I thought he would, he smiled. Not a soft, sad smile, not a bitter one. A slow, knowing smile. And that was when I realized he wasn't just understanding. He was already thinking of a solution. Morning light filtered through the linen curtains, painted stripes across the bedroom floor. I blinked awake, my body still heavy with the lingering exhaustion of a restless night. The space beside me in the bed was empty. For a fleeting second, I wondered if the entire conversation had been a vivid dream. Then I heard the faint clinking of a coffee cup from the kitchen. I sat up, my pulse quickening as the memories of the previous night came rushing back. The confession, Daniel's unexpected reaction, that unsettlingly knowing smile. I slipped out of bed, wrapped my silk robe around me, and stepped into the kitchen. Daniel was already at the table, scrolling through his phone, a mug of coffee steaming beside him. He was dressed casually, completely calm, almost normal, too normal. He looked up, his expression neutral. "Morning, Eleanor." I hesitated, the word feeling foreign on my tongue. "Morning, Daniel." I had expected something, a shift in his demeanor, a lingering awkwardness, anything to show me that last night had changed things between us. But there was nothing. I grabbed a mug from the counter, the ceramic cool against my fingertips, and poured myself some coffee. The silence stretched between us, thick and heavy with unspoken thoughts. I couldn't take it anymore. "So, about last night," I began, my voice a little shaky. He set his phone down, the soft thud echoing in the quiet kitchen, and finally met my gaze. "I've been thinking." A sharp knot formed in my stomach. A pause hung in the air before he continued, his voice the same calm tone as before. "I found a solution." I froze, the mug halfway to my lips. "What?" He took a slow sip of his coffee before answering, his eyes never leaving mine. "We're going out tonight." A chill prickled my skin. "Out? Where?" "I've made arrangements." The words were simple, direct, but something about the way he said them, with that same knowing glint in his eyes, sent a ripple of unease through me. My grip tightened around my mug. For what exactly? His lips curled just slightly, the ghost of that same knowing smile from the night before. "You said you needed something more, something different." He leaned back in his chair, his voice smooth and assured. "I'm giving it to you." The room felt too quiet, too still. I searched his face, looking for some trace of hesitation, some flicker of doubt. There was none. My breath caught in my throat. I had expected anger. I had expected heartbreak, but I never expected him to take charge like this. And now, whatever happened next, I wasn't sure if I was ready for it. The city lights blurred past the car window, neon reflections streaking across the glass like liquid rainbows. The low hum of conversation and the gentle clinking of silverware filled the restaurant around us. It was evening now, and we were out, just like Daniel had said we would be. I still had no idea why. I glanced across the table at him, He sat comfortably, effortlessly composed, his fingers wrapped around a half-empty glass of amber liquid. He hadn't told me much, just that we had plans, that we were meeting someone. I had expected more explanation, but he hadn't offered any, and that was the most unsettling part. I forced myself to take a slow sip of my wine, trying to settle the nervous energy that was still churning in my stomach. Then, without a word, Daniel glanced up, a subtle nod in a particular direction. I followed his gaze, and there they were. A figure moved toward our table, their steps measured and assured. My fingers tensed slightly against the chilled glass in my hand. They sat down as if this had been arranged long ago. Maybe it had. "You're right on time," my husband said smoothly, tilting his glass slightly in greeting. The third person offered a small, knowing smile before turning their attention to me. "I was starting to think you might back out," they said, their voice light and teasing. I blinked, my breath catching slightly. I hadn't even spoken yet, and already I felt caught in something I wasn't sure I could control. Before I could respond, Daniel chuckled softly. "Oh, she's here for it," he murmured, swirling the ice in his glass. "She just doesn't know it yet." My stomach tightened. The conversation started light, casual, as if this was just a normal evening out. But every word felt laced with something deeper, something unspoken. The third person sat across from me, watching me just as much as I was watching them. There was no awkwardness, no hesitation, just a sense of waiting. I felt Daniel shift slightly beside me, his fingers trailing the stem of his glass. "You're awfully quiet, Eleanor," he mused, his voice low. I forced a breath. I didn't expect this. The third person leaned in slightly, their eyes twinkling. "Didn't expect what?" I hesitated, my fingers tightening around my drink. Them. The way my husband was acting. The way I feel. I didn't have a clear answer. It didn't take long before Daniel leaned in slightly, his voice smooth and deliberate. "We're not staying here long." I blinked, surprised. I opened my mouth to say something, to ask if we were really doing this, but he was already signaling the waiter. Effortless, decisive. A sleek black card slipped into the billfold. No discussion, no asking if I was ready. This had never been a question. Minutes later we were in the car. The air felt heavier now, thick with something I couldn't quite name. The drive home was quiet. Or maybe it just felt that way. I could feel them both, one beside me, one behind me, and me, sitting in the middle of something I had asked for but still didn't fully understand. Then we were there. Home. My pulse kicked up the moment we stepped out of the car. The air outside was cooler than before, carrying the scent of night-blooming jasmine, but it did nothing to settle the warmth that was beginning to spread through my chest. Daniel unlocked the front door and stepped inside first. I followed, and behind me, so did they. The door shut behind us with a soft, almost conspiratorial click. A deep pulse ran through me, charged, electric, undeniable. The air in the hallway felt heavier, thick with anticipation. My breath caught in my throat, my pulse hammering in my ears. I had asked for this. Daniel's hand pressed against the small of my back, firm and steady, guiding me forward. "This is what you wanted," he murmured, his lips brushing my ear. His voice was a steady hum against my skin, sending a shiver rolling through me. Every nerve in my body was on edge, acutely aware of the space between us, filled with something unspoken, a presence steady, assured, waiting. I turned my head slightly, locking eyes with the third person. Their gaze held mine, patient, composed, expectant. A slow exhale left me, my chest rising and falling in uneven waves. I barely noticed Daniel's touch as it moved over me, precise and deliberate, stripping away the invisible barriers between us with a confidence that left no room for hesitation. Then, A pause, a presence before me. I lifted my gaze, the world around me seeming to slow, and there it was, the difference, the more. A quiet, startled breath escaped my lips before I could stop it. Behind me, I heard Daniel let out a low chuckle, a sound that resonated deep within me. Now you understand. Warmth spread through me, my thoughts racing to keep up with what my body already knew. I reached forward, my fingertips grazing over something solid, something undeniably different. A slow, steady pulse echoed against my palm. I hesitated for just a moment, a flicker of uncertainty. Then I leaned in. The first sensation was foreign, new, completely consuming. A deep breath, a subtle shift. The unfamiliar slowly beginning to feel right. A low murmur sounded from above, a hint of approval woven into it. Behind me, Daniel's palm swept down my back, grounding me, steadying me. "Take your time," he murmured, his voice smooth and patient. "There's no rush." I did slow down at first, exploring, adjusting, taking in the contrast, the weight, the difference. A deep inhale, a slow exhale, letting myself fall into the moment, fully present. Fingers slid through my hair, assured and controlled, letting me set my own pace. A soft sound escaped me, not just a reaction but an understanding. "Just like that," Daniel murmured, his tone filled with something unreadable. "You're doing well." My pulse quickened, a slow, building tension curling low inside me. I wasn't just feeling this, I was immersed in it. Then a shift. A steady grip found my hips, a soft gasp leaving my lips as I was gently turned, repositioned, guided. "That's enough," Daniel murmured, his voice steady but decisive. "You're ready." A shiver ran through me, sharp and undeniable. Their hands moved with certainty, adjusting me, placing me exactly where they wanted. I braced myself, my palms pressing against the cool fabric beneath me. A firm touch settled at the small of my back, a reminder, a reassurance, a slow inhale, a steady exhale. The space around me felt tighter, smaller, charged with something impossible to name. Then, the first shift, the first connection. A breath caught in my throat, my fingers gripping the sheets beneath me. It was seamless, measured, deliberate, a gradual pull drawing me further into the moment, stretching the anticipation. Behind me, Daniel let out a pleased sound, his palm smoothing over my skin. "Tell me," he murmured, his voice husky, "how does it feel?" A tremor ran through me, pleasure and disbelief entwined. "Incredible!" A deep, satisfied chuckle followed. "Good," he said. I barely had time to process the word before another touch found me, steady, firm, assured. My pulse jumped. Then it happened. A slow breath left me, my body shifting instinctively. I was balanced between them, fully surrounded, every movement seamless, synchronized. Everything else faded away, leaving only the sensation of being completely embraced. The rhythm built, not rushed, not forced, but intentional, deliberate, overwhelming in the best possible way. I let go of everything, letting them take the lead, falling into the rhythm, into the weight of the moment. A quiet, trembling breath left me, my body responding before my mind could fully catch up. The air grew heavy, heavier with each shift, pressing deeper, drawing me further in. I wasn't just lost in it. I was drowning in it. The rhythm grew stronger, the energy tightening, pulling me into something all-consuming. A sharp gasp left me, every muscle tensed, locked in the moment. The pressure built higher, deeper, stronger. I wasn't just overtaken, I was completely, utterly consumed. The energy surged, cresting, stretching the moment to its very limit. Then it broke. A rush overtook me, deep and undeniable, leaving me weightless in its wake. I barely registered the deep, uneven breaths surrounding me as everything slowed, softened, settled. The moment lingered, stretching, keeping me suspended in pure sensation. Then silence. The world steadied. My body was weightless, completely undone. The only sound left in the room was the slow, steady rhythm of our breaths. I had wanted more, and now I had everything. The silence that followed was profound, a comfortable stillness that settled over us like a soft blanket. My body felt languid, every muscle relaxed and content. The frantic energy of moments before had dissipated, leaving behind a deep sense of peace. I lay there, suspended in the aftermath, the gentle rhythm of our breathing the only sound in the room. Slowly the world began to sharpen around the edges. The faint scent of the night air drifted in through the slightly open window. I could feel the weight of Daniel beside me, the warmth of their presence still lingering close. There was no awkwardness, no sense of regret, just a quiet understanding that hung in the air. I turned my head slightly, my gaze finding Daniel's. His eyes were open, a soft smile playing on his lips. He reached out, his fingers gently brushing a stray strand of hair from my forehead. There was a tenderness in his touch, a newfound intimacy that went beyond the physical. In that moment I felt a connection with him that had been missing for a long time. A bond forged not just in familiarity, but in a shared experience that had pushed the boundaries of our comfort zone. The third person, whose name I now knew was Julian, lay on my other side, their eyes closed, a serene expression on their face. There was a sense of camaraderie between the three of us, an unspoken acknowledgement of the unique experience we had just shared. As the initial intensity faded, a wave of reflection washed over me. I thought about the months of quiet dissatisfaction, the growing yearning for something more that I couldn't quite articulate. I had been so afraid to voice my needs, fearing judgment or rejection. But Daniel's reaction, his willingness to not only listen, but to actively seek a solution, had been nothing short of extraordinary. This wasn't the path I had envisioned when I confessed my desires. The idea of involving someone else had never crossed my mind. Yet here we were, the three of us, having navigated a complex and intensely personal experience that had somehow brought us closer, or at least opened a new chapter in our relationship. I still had so many questions, so many thoughts swirling in my head. What did this mean for our future? Was this a one-time exploration, or the beginning of something new? The answers weren't clear, and perhaps that was okay. For now, I felt a sense of fulfillment, a sense of having finally acknowledged and addressed a deep-seated need. As the first rays of dawn began to paint the sky with soft hues of pink and gold, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. Gratitude for my courage to speak my truth, and for Daniel's open-mindedness and willingness to explore the uncharted territories of our desires. Our relationship had taken an unexpected turn, a turn that felt both exhilarating and a little bit scary. But as I lay there, nestled between the two of them, I couldn't deny the feeling that I had finally found the more I had been searching for. What the future held, we would discover together. If your wife told you she needed more, what would you do? Would you be open to exploring new possibilities, or would fear and insecurity take over? Drop a comment below and share your thoughts. I'm genuinely curious to hear your perspectives. And if you enjoyed this story, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of relationships, desires, and the unexpected turns life can take. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you won't miss what's coming next. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you in the next one.